Do you accept the coaster challenge? Yes, I accept the coaster challenge. Do you accept the coaster challenge? Coaster Challenge podcast is here. It's time to face your fears. Get that theme park therapy and let us blow through. Coaster Challenge podcast is here. Your fear can disappear. We know that theme park therapy can dry up all your tears. Do you accept the coaster challenge? Yes, I accept the coaster challenge. Do you accept the coaster challenge? We accept because you know we're not average.
You're listening to the Coaster Challenge podcast. A journey where people become fearful to fearless, all from riding roller coasters. So please, secure your hats and glasses and keep your hands and arms inside the podcast. It's time to accept the Coaster Challenge with your hosts, Andrew Locke.
The first place in the commercial category goes to Burbank Self-Storage.
The next presentation is Burbank Self-Storage winning the commercial category.
So we're a family-run business. Burbank Self-Storage has been around in Burbank since 1977. My mom has been the manager of this facility for 43 years, and I'm her assistant, and I've been there for 12. And this is our 7th year. And it's been a family tradition that we love to put on a wonderful Halloween presentation for the community. Something to bring smiles for kids, something for families to do for free. And we enjoy doing it every year. And we also do Christmas as well.
Awesome. Thank you. For free.
For free.
How about that? Thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. This is Andrew, one of the producers of the Coaster Challenge podcast. Got a very, 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 very special guest here today. Definitely a VIP. We're talking about haunts because, again, it's haunt season, as we've been talking about recently. And here at Coaster Challenge, we're big fans of haunts. In fact, we're such big fans of haunts that one member of our team actually runs a haunt every year. And this is actually the 9th year that this haunt has been going on. He's been running it. It's pretty exciting. It's a real labor of love and passion for him. I know that from personal experience. He's always so busy getting it set up and ready for the first couple of months, August, September, leading into Halloween each year. So I'm really excited to kind of have a nice in-depth discussion about this haunt today, especially considering who runs it. So I'd like to welcome to the podcast our very own David Cantu, our founder, creator, executive producer of Coaster Challenge and the owner and creator of the Haunted Storage Yard. Welcome, David.
Oh, it's great to see you, Andrew.
Good to see you, David. Good to see you. So, I've known about the Haunted Storage Yard for a while now. Don't know a whole lot about it because, I don't live in California anymore. But, you talk about it and share things on social media. So I think it's about time that we had a chat with you about it, considering we like talking about haunts here on the podcast. So that's why we're here today.
Mm. So if you talk about this will be our ninth season, our 9th year doing this, right? And if you think about it, we started this right when I started Coaster Challenge,
right
around the same time. So there's kind of a backstory behind that, because remember, everybody, every guest, everybody in the staff, and if anybody, our listeners out there know about my story, is that if I was afraid to get on a roller coaster, well, I was afraid of other things too. I was very afraid of haunts. I never went to Scary Farm, Fright Fest, Horror Nights at Universal. I didn't even go to any haunts at Disney. I was even afraid of those. You couldn't get me in a maze or anything. And when I started riding roller coasters and I started Coaster Challenge, and I started facing my fears, and my fears were going away, I think it was like the same year, my friends challenged me to go to Not Scary Farm back in 2015. And so I went with them because I felt really good after riding coasters and traveling. And all of a sudden my friends are like, okay, let's go in a maze. And I was like, very afraid to go in them. I'm afraid to get like spooked, or get like someone hops up in your face. And so they said, come on, you faced your fears on roller coasters. This is your next challenge. You've got to face, haunted mazes and stuff. So I said, fine. I did the one haunted maze. It's the oh my gosh, it's like the circus. It was like the circus haunt maze at Knott's. I forgot the name of it. I wish
Back in
Jeff Tucker,
2015, you said?
yeah, I think it was in 2015. And
Okay.
I wish Jeff Tucker was here because he would know exactly
Oh, he would know.
what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. But I went with my friends into this maze, and yeah, I got scared, but I noticed that I wasn't as scared as I thought I was going to be because of how roller coasters affected my life. So I started going to all the other mazes, and as I was going through the mazes, I was really I'm also an architect major, a design major. I'm a merchandiser. I build displays when I was growing up in retail, and I was just fascinated by the themes of the mazes at Scary Farm. And I was like,
Yeah.
wow, I really like the creativeness that they've done, from haunted houses to an evil science lab to being in a pumpkin patch farm, or spider arachnus nests and stuff. So I was like, I was really intrigued. And then when I went to Fright Fest, it was the same thing. I was really intrigued by how it was all laid out, the theming that they did for each maze. And so my family's big on Halloween. My entire family, my mom, my dad, my sisters, and my nieces and nephews. And around that time, my nephews were getting to the point at the age where they can start going trick or treating and stuff. And at our business, my mother was like, we should decorate our gardens. We should throw some Halloween decorations out there. And I said, okay, well, what do you want to do? And he goes, well, let's get some pumpkins. Let's get some witches, and let's get some ghosts, and let's just put them out in the garden, and let's just put some and put them out there. So we started putting out in our gardens. Start off with some pumpkins, like 5 or 6 pumpkins, and then we found this beautiful witch set with a cauldron and everything. Put that in there, and then we found a bunch of ghosts, and then all of a sudden, people liked it. People liked how I laid it out. And it was like, hey, you should add more. So every year we kept adding more and more decorations. And then my boss got involved and said, hey, I like how you're decorating the front of the business. I'm going to give you a budget. So he gave me $10,000, and he's like, here, I'm going to give you this every year. I want you to, use it for Christmas and Halloween. So we would split it and do 5,000 for each season. And so every year we would grow, and all of a sudden we had electricity added into the garden. We had new lighting added into the garden. And then all of a sudden I stuck to 4 themes, I believe it is. We do a pumpkin patch, we do a witch's gathering, we do a cemetery, and we do an arachnus nest all throughout, so people can walk through. And over the years, it just kept growing and growing. And then all of a sudden, it's become a huge community event that everybody comes, and it's all for free. We don't charge. This is free for the families, for the kids to go and enjoy. And because of that, we've become a very iconic event in the city of Burbank. I'm very proud of that.
That's great. That's great. So, couple things to unpack there, David. So first of all, on the haunt side, about you being scared of haunts and, going back to 2015 and then since. So, I met you a few years after in 2018, and haunts didn't come up too much when you and I first met. It was more about coasters and parks, kind of just the regular stuff. And then coming out of the pandemic, I, like a lot of people, was having the whole, just kind of stir crazy, tired of not traveling, and, started traveling more, and, kind of getting back out there. And I think another aspect of coming out of COVID was kind of not taking life for granted. So I think that's another thing that's kind of fueled this kind of hyper travel stuff that people have been doing since COVID. And I certainly am someone that's been doing that, between going to parks, here in the US and Europe and elsewhere, going on cruises, and just really just try to live a YOLO kind of life, and all that. But in any case, as part of that, I remember having moved from California here to Florida, I was missing Not Scary Farm because I had been to it in 2017, right before I moved out here to Florida, but had not been in 2018 or 2019. Of course, 2020 didn't happen at all because of COVID. So here we were in 2021. I remember talking to you. I think it was maybe summertime, early summer. And I was like, hey, I think I want to come out there for Scary Farm. Now, granted, as you were just talking about, David, you had been to haunts and checked them out, because previous you were afraid of them, but you had finally gone through some mazes. But I'm not trying to call you out or anything, but I do remember having a conversation with you in 2021, even after you had been with your friends to Scary Farm. And you seemed still very scared of mazes and haunts and scare zones, and you weren't certainly to the point where you would conquer your fears fully, where you were enjoyed them. I mean, it seemed like you were still on that journey. Isn't that accurate, David?
Oh, it's a long journey because every maze, every year they change things up. So it's like you don't know what to expect. So I still get scared time for time. Some scare actors, they're very good. You could be the toughest guy in the world, and they will still scare the crap out of you. I know some people. I know some people that are totally fearless, and they'll go into a maze and they would scream like a girl in there.
Right.
They got the ultimate scare from a scare actor that was totally out of surprise.
Oh yeah, I have some friends like that. My friend Anthony, Airtime Monkey, he not only does he scream, he falls. He constantly falls on the ground. He goes so freaked out he falls, and he's quite entertaining for the rest of us. So I do remember in 2021, going to Scary Farm with you, and you went through the mazes and everything, and you liked it. And I remember talking to you about your opinion on things, and because some of those mazes were ones that were still there for me in 2017 because they don't change every year. So experiencing them again and spruced up versions and the new ones. And I remember you started really getting more into it, and then coming back the next year. Last year, 2022, and you really were into it. And you and I did the behind the scenes tour, which Jeff Tucker was one of his babies last year at Scary Farm, and he did such a great job with. And we got to hang out with Jeff before the tour, and so you definitely are more into it now. And you go to Halloween Horror Nights and other events, and so would it be accurate to say here now in 2023, David, that you are now a haunt fan?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely here. My whole family's are haunt fans. My boss, we're one big thing, and I look forward to haunt season. I look forward to what the parks have planned. I think one of my goals is I want to start visiting other haunts that are not part of the theme park chains. There's a lot of independent haunts out there, but I will tell you, when you're running your own haunt, it's kind of hard to get away to go see the other haunts because you're running one yourself almost every day. And but there's some times where I will try to get away, because really the haunted storage yard is run by me and my mother. That's it. We don't have a whole staff. It's the two of us, and we open up the gates and we welcome people in. So we're always and especially on setup, really the setup is mainly me doing it all. That's why it takes a while to do. But I have some people that come in to help me on the bigger stuff. But it's a passion, like you said, it's a passion. It's become a passion of love. And I'm basically just I've taken all my fears that I've been afraid of, like spiders and stuff, and have turned it into an attraction.
That's great. That's great. So yeah. And I'm glad that I was correct in, that you are now a haunt fan, as you just confirmed. And yeah, I've seen that with you, with what you post on Facebook and about, I know you're scared of spiders, but you just make this huge spiders nests and all the spiders and the eggs and the webs. And yeah, and that's like we talk about with our guests on the podcast here. It's about, facing your fears head on, getting on that coaster that's the tallest in the world if you're afraid of heights, or with many inversions, you're afraid to go up upside down, or, super fast launches if you're afraid of the speed, whatever it is, you just embrace it. And, you are one of so many examples that we've talked to here about where when you face your fears in one area, for example, coasters, it helps you face your fears in other areas, like, with the haunts and with, specific things that are haunt related that you're afraid of, like spiders and whatnot. And so, it's not surprising, and it's enhanced your life. And I mean, I think we'll be talking a little bit more about that, with how the haunted storage yard has enhanced your life and changed things for you in nice ways. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and dive in and talk more about the storage yard. So, yeah, I mean, I haven't seen too much of it myself. Again, living here in Florida, I am going to be coming out there to California here this year again for haunts, and I'm going to have a little more freedom this time. I'm coming out for more than a couple of days and have my own rental car. So I'm definitely planning on, as you and I have talked about, stopping by and checking out the haunted storage yard. Actually, I think even before it's open to the public, and getting a little VIP preview, which will be great to see what the latest is that you've done. But besides that, you're posted on Facebook. You're very proud of your accomplishments, which is absolutely, you should be proud of what you've done there. And I know, each year just, you send the videos and, just kind of walking through and all the technology you put in there. It's pretty wild. So I know each year you get that $10,000 or that increased budget from your boss. So can you share, first of all, what is going to be new this year at the haunted storage yard?
So this year, because we've basically maintained the same themes throughout the 9 years, but we've upgraded them every year and we change it up. The most famous one that everybody loved is the arachnid nest, the spider section. This year, we're going to take a break on doing the spiders. It's mainly because a lot of our animatronics and stuff that we buy for the haunted storage yard is really from the retail stores. We go to Home Depot, we go to Lowe's, we go to Spirit Halloween, and we do get some professional props from some of the professional studios that even the theme parks get their props from.
Right.
So what we're doing is we're not retiring the arachnid nest. We're just taking a break this year on it so we can preserve our props and stuff, because a lot of props don't last forever. They may last a few years, and then they tend to wear out. And a lot of times the haunted retailers, they don't carry the same products. They change it up every year. And it's funny because over the years that I've been doing this, I've learned that, because we have a coaster enthusiast community that we know very well of. There's a haunt community out there as well that I started to get to know. And there's enthusiasts that are big on Lowe's, Home Depot, and Spirit Halloween, that they do YouTube videos every time. And even Lowe's and Home Depot invites enthusiasts to come to their distribution centers where they preview all the Halloween stuff every year. So I've started to get to know more people through the community. And so as I started getting to know more people, I've been able to get more resources to be able to help get certain things we need to enhance our attractions.
Yeah.
So really, like, what we're doing, so we're giving the spiders a break, but thanks to a lot of the friends I've met in the community, we're expanding the cemetery area. We're upgrading the witches area. We're actually adding a dead wedding theme this year section with a gazebo. And there's each theme we have is kind of an inside joke between me and my family. It's something personal, not going to share it on the air, but if people want to ask me what are the hidden jokes, you'll have to come down to the haunted storage yard and come talk to me and my mother about it, and we'll be happy to share the story of each thing. Yeah. There's a hidden story about the witches gathering. There's going to be a hidden story about the dead wedding, and then there's a story about the cemetery. There's things in the cemetery that there's a story about that. But
yeah. So I'm going to guess, David, that it's either the dead wedding or the witches gathering, or maybe both, relates to kind of the inside story that I know about, right?
Pretty much.
Yep. The purple is part of that. Yep, I know what you're talking about. Looking forward to seeing that. I'm sure I'll have some laughs when you're touring me through when I'm visiting. Looking forward to that. Okay, well, thanks for sharing the updates. And yeah, to your point, I know that, it's not just a static display, or at least it was originally, but then you added lights and animatronics and all the electronics with that go along with it. And, these things stay out in the weather. This is not in a warehouse. This is outside. So, that's certainly going to affect it. And I know when you have these freak storms come through September, October, even August, you just had a hurricane tropical storm, at the beginning of your build, recently here with Hurricane Hillary, luckily downgrading to a tropical storm by the time it got to you. But obviously these things all impact things, and just being outside when the weather is good,
Yeah, we dodged a bullet.
Yeah.
We dodged a bullet with Hillary.
Yeah.
It was just a downpour heavy downpour the whole day, no wind, no heavy wind in our area. But I had to take some of the props that I had started because that weekend I was going to start the official setting up, and
Yeah.
it got delayed. It got delayed because of the storm, and I was like, okay, but we had to put. That's what I love about running a storage business is that thank God we had extra spaces open where we could put the props in
Right.
there and store to protect it. Some people don't have that luxury, but still. But right when that storm left, it got right back to being bright, sunny, 96-degree weather. And then I was like, okay, let's get back to work. And I've already started. And it's really funny because the reason what you mentioned about why I post a lot of my progress on Facebook, not
Right.
just to show it off. I want people to know, especially I have a lot of listeners that are friends with me on Facebook. There's a reason why I post the progress photos of my setup.
Oh, okay.
It's very educational. I have a lot of people that are learning how to build props
Oh,
and
okay.
because I know a lot of people in the studio business that have taught me from watching their Facebook posts. So really, when I post stuff, it's really teaching people, hey, this is how I built this prop. This is how, and I would show the before and after photos, the progress photos of how it
Yeah.
was coming out. So I've had a lot of people reach out to me saying, I love how you built your new cemetery entrance because recently I've been posting that that's a whole new entrance that I have on
Yeah.
Facebook.
Seen that.
And it's amazing. This is the first time I put it all together, but I spent the whole year building it. But as I was building it, I was posting the progress. So people were actually learning so they could build it on their own as well.
Right. That's great. That's great. And I know that again, your friend and mine and friend of the podcast and the network here, Jeff Tucker. I noticed he commented on one of the posts about the cemetery recently. We're both friends with him on Facebook, a great guy. And, he's taken notice and, granted, he's not so much of a haunt builder, although he's done it before in his life. He's more of a show writer, writing stories, writing shows, for Not Scary Farm and other parts of the year there at Not Scary Farm. But, certainly he's a haunt fanatic and, he likes anything related to the haunts. So I think it's cool that he appreciates, what you're doing. And I know you've talked about before, hopefully one of these days he'll have some time. Granted, it's a busy time of year for him, of course, but to head down there September, October, on a free night and check out the haunted storage yard for the first time. I'm sure he'll love it. So
I know he will. I know he's going to be very busy this year with not celebrating 50th
oh yeah.
for Not Scary Farm, which I'm looking forward. I actually got a season pass for that this year, so I'm hoping to make some
me
time
too.
to go see that.
Yeah.
But I mean, to get Jeff Tucker, and it's funny because I've have tenants, I've have people in the community and my family, my aunts and my uncles that will come down to see it. They're like, and how come you're not working for the studio companies? How come you're not working for the professional prop building, departments of the theme parks? And I turned around and I said, well, nobody's come to me and offered me a job.
Well, but to be fair, David, and I know you and I've talked about this offline before. It doesn't necessarily work that way. I mean, sometimes it does with artists where, they put it on social media or, they're at an art exhibition or whatever it may be, where it's out there and someone notices, and they say, hey, you want a job? But, separate from that, because that doesn't always happen that way. I would say if you were to go down to, well, and certainly Jeff, probably could help with this, to apply for one of the maze builder positions or whatever their names specifically are called there at, say, Scary Farm. Again, Jeff would have to get the foot in the door, and then were to talk to them and show them pictures or your portfolio.
I would definitely, if they saw the work I've done over the years, especially at Fright Fest with Six Flags or Universal, I'm pretty sure I could get a job easily in, but I honestly love doing what I'm doing here at home. It's getting better and better every year. And I get a lot of tips and pointers from professionals. They tell me, in fact, last year I've had professionals come to me asking my advice because I have done some things last year with the lighting. And by the way, Andrew, I want to thank you for the lighting tip that you gave me years ago, because that has been like the highlight of the haunted storage yard. You're
talking about gosh, what's the
twinkly lights?
Twinkly lights, I use those for Christmas. Twinkly lights are amazing. We should have those guys on the podcast. But anyways, really good technology. I'm looking forward to seeing what you do with the twinkly lights this year, because when I check it out. But And by the way, David, just, because it's obvious to you and I, but it may not be obvious to all of our listeners. So you call it the haunted storage yard because it's at the business that you and your mom run. Well, one of the businesses you guys run, which is, there in Burbank, where you live, at the storage location there, right? But it's not inside the storage units. It's in like the parking lot and the garden, like you said, outside.
The whole courtyard.
Yeah,
The whole courtyard of the facility where people have to park on the street because parking is very limited inside.
Right.
So there's plenty of street parking, and plus the business next door has a parking lot that's open, for anybody to park in. They're okay with that.
Oh, nice.
But it's basically a walk-in. It's a walk-in tour. It's like taking a stroll through the park. You're just walking through different themes, and you're not time limited at all. You can actually hang out there. I've had families bring their kids, like their little kids, like 3-year-olds, 2-year-olds. They would be like a little scared at first, and then all of a sudden they're jumping up and down, and they're just loving, and they don't want to leave. They don't want to leave the yard because they fall in love with some of the animatronics, or they love seeing some of the stuff that's in the cemetery, and they love the music that's playing inside. And, it just becomes like a big party. People go over there, especially around Halloween time. We'll have people come dressed up in all types of costumes. Like last year, we had people come dressed up as SpongeBob and his characters from Nickelodeon. And they came out and they were doing basically cosplay, and they were taking photos of people. And it was really fun. It was a lot of fun. And I will tell you, we did the night before Halloween, we did a head count for the first time. The first half an hour we were open, we had over 3,000 people within the first half an hour flood to our rooms.
Wow.
And that was because we were on, because we had won, we won again the city's decorating award for best decorations.
So David, that actually leads into my next question. Although you've already kind of done the big reveal there. So, but let's at least expand upon this. So certainly something to be proud of. Can you talk about the accolades and awards that the haunted storage yard has received? How many awards has it received, and what were they? And talk about how it happened.
Well, the haunted storage yard has been given the award for best Halloween decorations for the past 3 years.
Now the best of where?
Commercial division.
But like what in what, within what geographic, like who is giving it?
The city of Burbank.
Oh, okay. So the city of Burbank.
This is from the mayor, city council. We were recognized so far 3 years in a row. The best commercial division, best Halloween decorating contest. We've won it 3 years in a row. Now we're shooting for 4. And on our Christmas, we've won 2 years ago. We won for Christmas. And Halloween's been our biggest baby than Christmas.
Well, that's amazing. So you won it 2020, 2021, 2022?
Correct.
I bet 2020 was interesting because a lot of your traditional haunts, like the theme park ones we've been talking about, Scary Farm and others, they weren't operating. So I bet you guys had a pretty good
we had a pretty good crowd in 2020.
Yeah.
And you know what? Everyone wore masks voluntarily. Nobody, there was no problems. Everyone kept a distance, and we just wanted to do something to give the kids something, because kids really had it hard back there in the pandemic. And we said, screw it. We're going to continue to decorate. We're going to open our gates, and we're going to welcome people to come and have fun. People needed to have fun that year. It was a horrible year for everybody. So we wanted to bring fun back. So we did. And the contest still kept going, and we won. That was our first year we won. And then when we win, we were invited to City Hall, and we were presented a plaque from the mayor and the city council. And it's been a great honor. And we just do it for the community. We do it because we want to bring joy and happiness back to our community. And and we don't charge. A lot of places, they charge a lot of money to go visit haunts, and we don't. We welcome everybody, because if you think about it, in some haunts there's an age restriction of how old you can be to go into these haunts. So really, the haunted storage yard, we're not super scary like Scary Farm, but we're not Disney quality either. We're like right in between. We're like considered spooky, where it's
Okay.
like you get spooked, but then you have fun. The kids,
Right.
and we've seen that with the little kids, like the 2-3-year-olds, they'll get spooked, but then all of a sudden they're smiling and jumping for joy and running around enjoying the place. So so it becomes family friendly. And when parents hear it's family friendly, then all of a sudden they start coming around with their kids and they just have a wonderful time. And my mom and I enjoy that. We enjoy it very much.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Congratulations on those awards, winning that 3 years in a row. It's not like you live in a tiny town or it's just a small part of the community. It's the entire city of Burbank. That's amazing. And to win that, and I'm sure there's many other competing businesses. Like you said, it's that you win the commercial division. So the other businesses that do displays and whatnot, that you should be very proud. That's fantastic.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I even the residents, they have a resident division. The residents that win the contest as well. A lot of times they'll come and check out my display, and I've actually had to educate a lot of the residents that get involved in the contest because I can help them because we're two different divisions. They're a resident division, I'm commercial. So I can give the residents, like everybody loves the twinkly lights. And so when people saw the lighting that I had for the commercial division, residents are like, hey, I'm going to get these next year and try them out for the contest and stuff. And I've noticed online, if you go to the City of Burbank's website where they show pictures, I get proud. I go, wow, they're actually enhancing. There was one resident not too far from me. He turned his whole front yard into a cemetery and he dressed up as Jason and would go out there and scare people. And he used twinkly lights on his house and his fences, and it had the fire effect and everything. Yeah. It was just really neat. The lighting really enhances any display you build, and the fog and the music.
Right.
It's just like that's what you see in the theme parks with the haunts. It's when you go to Universal or you go to Six Flags or you go to Knott's Scary Farm. When you go into a maze, it's the fog, the lighting, and the sound effects and the music that really enhances the experience. And then you got the scare actors on top that know when to pop out to scare you at the right time. So that all comes together is very important when you're running a haunt.
Oh yeah. The visual aspects, like you said, the lighting, the fog, the auditory stuff, the sound effects, the music, and those all are a really big part of a good quality haunt. And again, that's a sign that you've grown your haunted storage yard quite a bit since say 2015, where you have all those kind of electronic things. At least some of that stuff keeps getting bigger and bigger apparently. So that's fantastic. So you mentioned that there's no cost, which is great for families, especially with the economy the way it is and all that. And, people don't have to worry about, they can bring their kids. I mean, that makes it kid friendly too, because sure, there's age restrictions with haunts, which can, stop parents from bringing their kids. But even beyond the age restrictions, with the cost of most haunts, it, adds up if you have multiple kids. And with you guys, you're family friendly, so people can bring their kids, and it's no cost. So people make it easy to bring their kids. So that's great. So without having a cost, do you maybe accept or encourage donations to a certain charity or anything like that? Or
so we never accept. We had a lot of people ask us for if they want to donate. Yeah. So this year we're going to be accepting donations. And basically the donations, because I've talked to a lot of other people that run neighborhood haunts and they do the donation thing. And really, if you think about it, we're going to run donations because we want to get more professional props for the future that cost more than our budget. Right. And so there's a certain prop that my mom and I are in love with. And I'll tell you guys, it's going to cost like $16,000 for this prop. Oh my
gosh.
But here's the funny thing. This prop that we want, we discovered on YouTube that Cedar Fair has it at Canada's Wonderland. They have it at Cedar Point. And the company, I know the company that makes the prop because I've gotten several props from them in the past years. But it's such a great prop. It's huge. And the cost, it doesn't fit in our budget because we only get $10,000 a year, and we have to split that. Sometimes we put toward Christmas and then a lot on Halloween. But so what we're looking to do is everyone's been encouraging us to do a donation box. So we'll have a donation box out there, and if people want to donate, the money will go to help us maintain the decorations, to maintain our lighting, because it's not cheap. I mean, last year we went over budget because of the twinkly lights. The twinkly lights alone, and you've seen it on video. We spent about $12,000 just in lights.
Wow.
Program. And those lights are fantastic because they are multiple seasons. You can use them for any season, including 4th of July, Easter, Valentine's Day. They have graphics for everything, and you can use these lights all year long, which is great. So it's not like, I've had people ask me, they go, so do you have to take these lights down and put different lights up for Christmas? And I go, oh no. That's what I love. I love the fact I can change the lights to Christmas, and that just saves a lot of work. But this year we're going to have a donation box out there, and if people want to make a donation, it's really to help us to, keep the haunted storage yard maintained, because it costs a lot of money to maintain it. And by the way, my mom and I, we don't get paid a salary to work this haunted storage yard. We do it voluntarily.
It's a labor of love.
So we spend a lot of hours. We spend a lot of nights of our out there with the community, and we don't get paid. That's why I said, so it's really like whole and people that we have family and friends that come out and volunteer to help us run the storage yard because they want to, because they just love what it's all about and about a community and everything. So I just want people to know that we're not in it for the money, but people want to make a donation. That's fantastic, because it's going to help us maintain and help us get future more professional props for the future. And that there will be one out there this year. But when people come out to see the storage yard, what I have planned this year, the storage yard is getting a total makeover. It's going to look very different from last year. And a lot of, like I said, this year I spent the whole year building props this year. Took me the whole year to get ready. We started thinking about Halloween in January after New Year's.
I mean, you're getting more and more professional with this, and the professional haunts, like your theme park haunts, Halloween Horror Nights, Not Scary Farm, they're working on it all year, and so that's what you're going towards. And like right now, we're of course we record this like any interview pretty much, other than our live interviews, doing this ahead of time. And, Halloween Horror Nights here in Orlando is about to open in a week, and I'm very excited. I'm going opening night for the first time, which I'm sure is going to be crazy. But given my schedule and how much I'm traveling in September, October outside of Orlando, it really made sense for me to go opening weekend. I kind of set that weekend aside, and I'm going to be going with a bunch of friends, both local and people visiting. It's going to be wild and tiring, probably frustrating at times, but also a lot of fun and exciting. But they're getting ready to open Horror Nights, the 32nd year, but they're already working on 33, planning it, and they'll start building it as soon as this one's over. And, it's just how it is. So you kind of got the same thing going on there. And I think it's great that you have a donation box out there, and you're not requiring it, it's just optional. And, I think people will, you'll get some donations, and it'll help, to get bigger props, because your boss, he's very generous with what he provides to you, but like anyone else, he's running a business. He's limited on how much he can give. So that's great. And the other thing you mentioned I want to touch upon is the twinkly lights. I remember telling you about those, when I still owned a home. I sold my home in late 2021 because I knew the housing market was peaking. I could tell. I'm not some brilliant person. I just could look at what was going on in the country and with the housing market, interest rates. And so I sold my home, and I'm now renting and just kind of watching the market kind of fall, quite frankly. And I'm going to do the whole buy low, sell high thing, I guess. I did the sell high, and now it's time to buy low eventually. But anyway, I with my home that I still had back a couple of years ago, I had put the twinkly lights in. I had heard about them from some blog or something, I guess, and did a bunch of strands of them outside, the string lights, and then did the tree lights. And it's great because I had so much fun programming the lights, and it's wild, the technology and how it works. And you take a photo of the lights with your camera and your phone, and it is able to figure out where each light is. and it can, assign, like, it can do spatial things, it can do messages, and and like you said, it can do it throughout the year. So when I buy a home again, it's twinkly lights. It's going to be all about twinkly lights in the outside, and and on my patio, and if I have one of those, probably with like a hot tub, and for ambience and just have fun. So yeah, I think it's great. And I'm looking forward to, like I said earlier, seeing all the new stuff you have this year. Because I did get to see the haunted storage yard just once last year, and I was blown away. As you remember, we were walking around, you were showing me everything, and now you said it's getting a big upgrade, so I can't wait to see it. Speaking of that, David, so I know I'm going to be getting a preview, but for the members of the public here, people that are listening, can you share, what the address is, name of the business? I guess people can find it that way, as well as what the hours are, when they can come, what days and what hours.
So you can find the haunted storage yard at Burbank Self Storage. It's going to be at 3203 North San Fernando Boulevard, Burbank, California, 91504. A lot of time, the hours are going to vary. You could probably find us on any haunt map for Southern California. In the LA haunt maps, there's a Burbank haunt map. But also you can check on YouTube. There'll be a video coming out soon, releasing, but most likely the hours usually will start at 7, and they'll go 7 to 9 during the week, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it goes from like 7 to 10 p.m. That time. And then street parking, admission is free. Donations are appreciated. And yeah, it's just it's for all ages. And you can probably, like I said, the best videos you'll find will probably be on YouTube, on the Coaster Challenge Network's YouTube channel. We usually post a video every time with all the details. And if you look up on Yelp or on Google, the Haunted Storage Yard, you'll probably find more information about that too.
Okay, great. And then just one more question for the hours. So what date do you start doing those hours?
So we usually start at the end of September. So right now we're just, as we're filming this, because it's August that we're filming this. So right now, if I have to give a prediction, we're probably going to be opening our gates on September 29th, which right now will probably be middle of October. So we usually open the end of September, and the gates will stay open all the way till Halloween.
Okay, great. Yeah, wow. So I really am getting a very, very late VIP preview, because I'll be out there from like the 15th to the 24th or so, and sometime in there we haven't figured out when yet.
So you'll be in time, as it just will be fully completed, ready to go.
Yeah, that's exciting. That's great. Awesome. I look forward to that. So you kind of touched upon this, but if you could maybe expand upon it, besides Halloween, it sounds like you do other special events with that courtyard and displays and lights and all that. Can you talk about that besides Halloween?
Christmas is our next big one. We call it Holidays at the Storage Yard. And last year, Halloween goes out, the lights stay in place, and everything switches to Christmas, and we bring our Christmas stuff out. And the whole place is decked out, just like how it is for Halloween. Last year, we had something very special, because there was a short supply out in the community. We actually had a live Santa and Mrs. Claus last year in front of our 16-foot Christmas tree that we have on display outside. And we had like a whole Santa thing for him to sit in a red chair and everything. And Mrs. Claus was in a rocking chair. And we opened it up for free for parents to bring their kids to get a picture with Santa Claus. And we had a line out the door, out the gate, because a lot of malls couldn't find Santa Clauses, live Santas. And we had one, and all of a sudden, boom. And we basically, what we do at Christmas was we let them get a free picture with Santa. We gave free hot cocoa and a treat to people. And we just want them to have a good time. And so we're hoping to do that again this year. We're hoping that Santa and Mrs. Claus will return from the North Pole to come and sit in front of our Christmas tree this year. That's what we're hoping.
That's great. Now you may be curious there, David. So if the malls were short on Santas, then how is it you guys got Santa and Mrs. Claus?
I lucked out. In our business, I have a lot of friends that are managers in other storage companies, and one of my friends I've known, we were in T-ball together, and his dad was my coach, was my T-ball coach, and we still keep in touch. And my mom does keep in touch with my friend's mother. Well, we went and they came out for Halloween last year, and he looks exactly like Santa Claus. He has the big white
Oh,
beard, bald head with glasses and the cane. And he said that he had a Santa suit. He used to do Santa for his church.
okay.
And he said that the church, I guess it's no more. The church moved and they don't have a place to do Santa anymore. So he was available. And
Yeah,
so he came out on Friday and Saturday nights, and he said, I'll come do Santa for free. And he's another one, someone who likes doing stuff for the community. And we lucked out. And then
nice.
his wife had a Mrs. Claus outfit, and they would
Oh,
dress up together, and they came out and did it for us at the storage yard, and it
that's
became a
great.
great success.
That's great. That's great. Well, I've never gotten to check that out, but on one of these years, I will probably come out to the LA area during the
It
holidays.
was it was really fun because the whole family, even we all dressed up during Christmas. I dressed up we all dressed up as toy soldiers. My mother and my aunt dressed up as elves, and Jenna, our former host on the podcast, she would come out and help out, and she would dress up as an elf too to be like Santa's helper and stuff like that. And it was just a lot of fun. My dad
Yeah,
dressed up as Rudolph, and it was just really fun. And
that's
the
great.
community loved it. And the one thing I will tell people is that when you do something that great for a community, the community doesn't forget, and they
Right.
will remember you next year, and they tell their friends too. So every year I've noticed that people have noticed about the haunted storage yard or the holidays at the storage yard. Every year it was like more and more people come and they just have a good time. I've not had one negative response
Right.
what we do. And I'm just that's just how we are. The Cantu family, we're about community, helping others. That's I why I'm doing Coaster Challenge, because I'm trying to share to the world that there are people out there that still care about others, and they still care about community, and they care about bringing joy. I mean, we're living in times where everything is so uncertain and there's so much fear. You got to have fun. You got to have joy in your life, right? If you're going to a theme park or going to haunts or going on a cruise or going just doing something, you got to have fun. So
Right.
Halloween's about having fun. Being
Yeah.
scared, getting scared is fun. You
Right.
know, for
Right.
somebody who was afraid to get on coasters, afraid to get scared, now I enjoy getting scared at haunts.
Yeah. Yeah. That you've got. Yeah.
It becomes the opposite. It's like you actually have fun getting scared.
Yeah.
And
That's how it's been for me for years, and you finally have gotten to that point by facing
yeah,
fear. Yep. Yep.
so and we just and we're not trying to do a we're not trying we don't have an agenda here. This is something that my family and I love to do, and we open our gates to the community, and we invite people to come and have a good time.
Yeah.
And
No, that's
you know
great.
what, it's become a great tradition, and this is our ninth year and almost our 10th year. So
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I mean, yeah, I can relate. Also, got a couple of friends, they're coaster enthusiast friends of mine that live here in Orlando, and I've only got a chance to do this once because I do tend to travel a lot, especially this year. I'm going to be traveling a lot, during the haunt season, September, October. But they have their own home haunt, and they do a tradition like a maze, and it's outside. It goes through their home, and they don't charge for it, and and they have the friends help, and it's a labor of love, and it's kind of fun to see these home haunts and not just the professional ones. So
yeah.
but as far as your Christmas one goes, I've never seen that in person, and I love Christmas and love the spirit of Christmas. And I have not been out to the LA area, November, December for a while. Don't Probably not going to be doing that this year. I've got way too much going on already. But in the future years, hopefully the near term, I would like to do that because one of my favorite things, in my opinion, it's not my number one park, but it's my number one that I've been to at least. Christmas, holidays, the holiday spirit, and the decorations, is Disneyland. Disneyland does it far better than Disney World for Christmas. And as much as I love like SeaWorld's Christmas here in Orlando is absolutely fantastic. Again, you need to experience that one of these days, David. It's amazing. As good as that is, I just love Disneyland at Christmas that much more. And in fact, I've mentioned this story in the podcast before. In late 2016, I was in the what I now know. I didn't know it then, was the very end of a very long, very, very intense and very awful depression. And my friends dragged me to Disneyland, and I'd been there for Christmas before, but I had not been to a park that whole depression. I was just at home watching TV and doing all the bad things, the wrong things, not getting out there. But anyway, they dragged me there. We spent all day, and that was the beginning of my recovery. And that park helped save me from that depression that nearly took my life, quite frankly. But yeah, so hopefully we'll get out there November, December, when you have the decorations set up. And for Christmas, I'd love to see that with the twinkly lights and everything else. So, David, let's wrap things up here. Again, thanks for sharing about the haunted storage yard, and it's a treasure of Burbank, there, of LA, and hopefully more people will get to experience it by getting exposed to it here on the podcast. It's great that we talked about it, but let's kind of go through our kind of typical end of the podcast questions. In fact, one of them I know one of these at least you've never answered, and it's the question you came up with. It's, the Dusty Leifster question. And sadly, we lost Dusty almost a year ago now, and you were closer to him than anyone. And you took his passing, it really took it to heart, and it was hard on you, I remember. And you went to his memorial, and that inspired you to come up with this question, the mortality, and thinking about mortality and about, how people are going to remember you. So David, you probably should answer this question more than anyone else. How would you like your family, your friends, your colleagues to remember you by?
So I want the listeners out there to know that as of right now, I'm single. I have no children. I'm 42 years old. I don't know what my future is going to hold. I don't know if I'm going to have children to continue on my name. And usually you want children to be able to continue your legacy. So I don't know how my legacy will go after I'm gone. That's one reason why I told the team I wanted to have this question for those that are on this show. So in case if they don't have their legacy going on, that this podcast will have their last word. But if I had to say that to my friends and colleagues, is that David Cantu always was about community, helping others, and was very loyal, passionate, kind, courteous, basically the Boy Scout motto. And I want everybody to know that I just love being around people. I love doing stuff to make people happy. And I just want the world to be a better place, the best I can. I may not be able to change the world, but I'm sure trying to make one hell of a dent into it. To make people, I want to be before I go, I want to leave a skid mark on the road that people will remember of the things I've done, because it's not just the haunts or Coaster Challenge. I've done so many things in my life, and I've gone through so many challenges in my life that I've experienced that a lot of people don't get to experience. I've got a lot of wounds on me that I've experienced that a lot of people out there do go through, but I've learned from it, and it's made me a stronger person. So I'm out there, as long as I'm around, I plan on being there for everybody who needs me. People know they can come to me for anything. I'm always, my phone's always on. And that's why I want people to remember that David was there. If I needed somebody, he was there. I could call David at 3 a.m. and he would answer the phone. That was David.
Yeah.
The most kindest man who's ever on this earth, and there's no one like him. And I just want people to remember that I was somebody who will always be there and be loyal to everybody.
Yeah, that's great, David. And knowing you as well as I know you, gosh, I've known you now for going on 6 years here. And I agree with everything you said there. And you really love helping people. I mean, that's why you created Coaster Challenge. That's why you created the podcast, when during the pandemic and everything else we've been doing with this network. So kudos to you there. Absolutely. Very well put. So I guess the last thing to ask you, David, do you have any advice you'd like to share with our listeners? Maybe something related to the haunts or people that are afraid of haunts, or just anything you'd like to share?
Have fun. Go out there, live your life to the fullest, and have fun. You got to have more fun in your life. Don't take life too seriously. Don't take the world around you too seriously. Don't let politics get into your life, because it's just gonna make it negative. It's gonna make you feel, unhappy. At the end of the day, you got to worry about your inner circle and the people around you and how you bring yourself up. And as long as you're positive and you are happy, and just go have fun, go do something new, something you've never done in your life that you've been wanting to do your whole life but been too afraid to do it. Go out there and just do it. Coaster Challenge inspired me to do things that I never done in my life, like like the sky jumping at the Stratosphere in Las Vegas. That was a huge thing for me that I did on my 40th birthday. Joining like a fencing club, getting back into shape, losing weight, just focusing on you and having fun. Don't worry about people out there being negative. Just focus on you. Be positive, be happy, and just focus on you. If you focus on you, you won't be stressed out, and you'll just have the best time of your life. Make your life, time is precious. So enjoy every time of your life that you have, and just go have fun.
Thank you, David. That's great advice. And I can very much relate to that and some changes I've made in my own life in the past few years, but especially kind of amping it up even further this past 6 months or so, past year, with a couple of changes that happened in my life. And I've been trying new things. I've really been getting into cruises and not spending as much time in the parks. I still love the parks, still love coasters. In fact, right before we started recording today, I was planning my annual trip to Europe, which to go to Phantasialand and Europa Park and other parks. Very excited for that. I'm planning to head there in November. But still do the parks and everything here in Orlando and elsewhere. But loving doing the cruises and traveling and doing other things. And also, I've just been, focusing less on the politics too. You mentioned that. I've been doing that too. And, not like I'm ignoring politics. I didn't watch the debate that just happened. And I'm paying attention, but I'm just not getting as invested as I used to, because, I'll vote the way I'm going to vote. I know my priorities and why I vote the way I vote. And that's my business and my right. But, it's just, there's so much negativity, still
That's
in the
the
media.
whole thing.
Yeah.
That's
so
the whole
much
thing I
negativity.
saw.
So,
The last 8 years, the fact that so many people are letting things that are out of their control. There's nothing,
yeah.
folks, there's nothing you can do what goes on in this country. The only power you have is your voting power
Yep.
and what you can do in your home community. That's what my family and I do with the Haunted Storage Yard. We're doing something close to home in our community. That's how we're making a change, and how we're bringing positivity and having fun, is by all the people that we live around every day in this city. If we can do something fun, that's what we want. We want everyone to be part of it. And we don't discriminate here. We want everyone to have fun.
Yeah.
And so I just want everyone to remember, we're all Americans at the end, and we're all vigilant for what we stand for. But just keep in mind, enjoy your life, because you only get to live once. Enjoy it. Stop worrying about the things that are out of your control, and just go out there and do the things you want to do, no matter what it is.
Yeah. No, that's great advice. And yeah, and I've been, even though you just said the advice now, I've been doing a lot of these things, already. And I'm really happy with, I'm not been as happy as I've been these past, 6 months or so, in a long time, if ever, in my life, with some of these changes I've made. And so already following this advice that I didn't even have yet, just, validated, or I guess maybe my experience has validated that your advice you just shared is very valid. It's a lot of common sense, to be fair. And yeah, I do want to mention one thing. I've talked about this before in the podcast. It's okay to be selfish in the way you talked about, take care of yourself, do things for you. Yeah, take care of yourself, do things for you. That way you're happy. And if you're happy and you're okay in life, you can be better prepared to help others. And, like David, you and I both love helping others. You just talked about it in terms of how you want people to remember you by. So if you take care of yourself, you can be better off to be helping others. And that's, it's really important. So I'm glad you shared that. So, well, thank you, David. Thanks for talking here today and chatting with me and talking about the haunted storage yard and the holidays, the storage yard as well. And again, but we always try to make things better here with this podcast and with this network. And I have no doubt that because of this interview getting aired, that more people will get to experience these wonderful things that you do for the community there in Burbank. So thank you.
Well, thank you. And as what Jeff Tucker would always say at the end of his podcast, or every time he's been on the show, he would always end it by saying, "I'll see you in the fog." Well, for us, it's "we'll see you at the yard."
Love it. Thank you.
If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to like and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. If you want to see more of us, we upload every Friday. Be sure to like us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. All at Coaster Challenge. Links are in the description below. Thanks for joining us here today.